A good day to everyone. I am Jibet John Ombina, and together with me is Hasha May Penuela, Christine Joy Piang, and Edson Parcia. We are Group 7 Gentleness, and we will present to you the parable of the Good Samaritan. Introduction. A parable is a simple short story that teaches a moral or spiritual lesson. Jesus loved to tell a good story to make a point, and the Good Samaritan is one of his famous parables of all.
Love your neighbor as yourself, from Matthew 22, verse 13.
The background of the parable of the Good Samaritan is a story told by Jesus found in the Bible, in the Gospel of Luke. The story started when a lawyer asked Jesus, and, and just who is my neighbor? Because most people thought a neighbor meant only their fellow Jews. Jesus then uses a Samaritan in a zoo as an example. However, they would not ordinarily have been friendly towards each other because of the disagreement and the differences in belief between between Jews and the Samaritans.
It all started when a Jewish man was walking alone from Jerusalem to Jericho. He was attacked by robbers who beat him, stripped his clothes, robbed him of everything he had, and left him badly injured beside the road. The first person to pass the Jewish man was a priest, who crossed the road and continued walking without helping the injured man. Next person to pass the Jewish man was a Levite, a priest's assistant, who also saw the injured man, yet continued walking without lending a hand for help. The third person to pass the road was a Samaritan, the only person who helped the Jewish man. The Samaritan cleaned and bandaged the wounds of the Jewish man, pouring oil and wine. He then helped the man climb up onto the back of his donkey. He then took the injured man to an inn, where he paid the innkeeper for the night and asked him to look after the injured man. After Jesus told the story of the parable of the Good Samaritan, he then questioned the lawyer who asked, "And who is my neighbor?" If who among the three men helped the Jewish man? The lawyer answered that it was the Samaritan who helped his fellow Jew. Jesus then said to the lawyer, "Go and do the same."
Symbolism and meaning. Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan sets us as an example, a symbol that there are still people who by heart are willing to help the people who are in need, despite not having on good terms with them. Whereas, in the parable, the Samaritan was the one who helped the helpless Jewish man lying on the road. Hence, implies that even today, there is still kindness and goodness present in our society. Jew. The presence of the Jew in the parable is a symbol that even today, there are still people who suffer under the circumstances of other people's doing. The Jew also symbolizes the people in our society, specifically those who suffered cruelty and unjust treatment. The priest and the Levite. Meanwhile, the priest and the Levite are symbol of ignorance and neglect. They represent the people who chose to turn a blind eye to the suffering of other people. Despite their social statuses, being a priest and a Levite, they choose to be ignorant of the current situation of the Jew.
The significance of the parable. God used the parable of the Good Samaritan as an example of loving who may not be our friends. We may not know other people who are in need, but if the opportunity arises, let's give them a helping hand with our own little way. The parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke chapter 10, verse 25 to 37. It's over 1,000 years old, a very old story, but gave a lot of significance to our contemporary world. During the first few months of the pandemic COVID 19 that struck our country, we've seen a lot of heartwarming stories through social medias where organization, private individuals, and group help our frontliners in their efforts to contain the spread of the virus by boosting their morals in various ways, like donating medical supplies, foods, and heartwarming messages of encouragement. These people are complete strangers to each other, but our humanity gave way to help others who are in a tight spot given by what is happening today. The Bayanihan spirit amidst the pandemic is one of the many examples on how the values on the on the Good Samaritan widely influence our compassion towards other people of this world today. Our reflection on the parable. Love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew chapter 22 verse 39. We tend to disregard a lot of things in life. That includes the people we normally pass by in the streets. It's a bit hard to understand why do we differentiate ourselves with others. We have different religion, different race, different languages, different principles in life. It is truly challenging for us humans to understand each other. Little do we know about them, and vice versa. But sometimes, by using the example from the Good Samaritan, we have the state of being, we have humanity, state of being kind to others, such as a living being like you and me. Despite our differences in many ways, if we if we have the will to help each other, we always answer the call. That's the spirit of our bayanihan.
Not all of us have the privilege to live a quality life. Some of us experience discrimination and oppression, while some experience hunger and poverty. But we shouldn't turn a blind eye. We shouldn't act like the priest and Levite in the parable of the Good Samaritan, who didn't make an effort to help the Jewish man lying helplessly on the road. Instead, we can make a change for the betterment of everyone. Situations like these should be addressed and not prolonged. Hence, we should be men and women for others without violating our moral values and principles in life. Lending a hand to other people is one of the many ways we can make humanity prosper. Be a good Samaritan, just like what Jesus said, go and do the same.
The parable of the Good Samaritan teaches us to be kind to one another, to help each other when in need, and that you should treat your neighbors as you treat yourself. You should always help other people no matter what differences you have or hatred towards each other. Help others not only because you can, but because also you want to help. As much as possible, help other people even if it's just one person, because even though helping one might not change the whole world, but it could change the world of that person.
According to the Word of God, we should love our enemies as we love ourselves. The parable of the Good Samaritan taught me not to be selfish. We should learn how to help other people in times of need. But sometimes, it may also be difficult for us to help other people, and we choose to ignore the needy because of our pride and reasons. Helping other people without asking for return is one of the best characteristics of a good Samaritan. Helping someone that comes from our heart without having regrets nor doubts is the best one. This parable reminds me to be a good Samaritan also, to love my enemies and pray for them instead of taking revenge. This short story is an example, a lesson to all of us that the people who may we think can help us may not always be there for us.
We would like to end our presentation with a saying from Pope Francis.
Like the Good Samaritan, may we not be ashamed of touching the wounds of those who suffer, but try to heal them with concrete acts of love. If we see someone who needs help, do we stop? There is so much suffering and poverty and a great need of good Samaritans.
That is all for our presentation. Thank you very much.